Ta-da!
Lori and Bobby, one of the main couples of the Loud House who have been together ever since the start of the series, and possibly even longer than that. These two have had episodes focused on them such as Affair to Remember and to a lesser extent Cheated by the Dozen. However, for the most part, Lori and Bobby's relationship has been used mainly for a one-sided gag rather than a relationship taken seriously. In episodes like Undue Pressure, the relationship is used for the story just for some gags, and if you look into other episodes where their relationship is used for the basis of a scene, it's usually just for some joke like Bobby being dumb or Lori being jealous. Still, the writers have been attempting to flesh out the relationship in the latest season, even if it's still pretty vague. But you look at the title of this video and you're probably asking me, why would you want Lori and Bobby to break up? What's so bad about the relationship? Well, I got my reasons. 3 reasons, actually. Reason number 1. Lori and Bobby are polar opposite. We all know the phrase opposites attract, right? You don't? Well, I guess I'll explain it. It's a phrase that's been used so much to describe why two people are together in the first place. Many people use this excuse as a way to justify any flaws that a relationship between two people have. And I can imagine the Lori and Bobby fans will dismiss this reason since they think that I don't get relationships or that I'm looking into this too deeply. Look at the phrase itself. It has the word attract in it, which is short for attraction, which means that Lori and Bobby are attracted to each other despite being different from one another. But that's really all it is to them. They're attracted to each other simply because they attract attention from others. And while I do think Bobby doesn't quite understand this, Lori seems to get this entirely, as she's the sort of person who always wants to be the center of attention. Why else do you think she has a boyfriend? Sure, I do think that Lori is with Bobby because she does somewhat like him, but I also believe that she wants him to know that while focusing more on flaunting around her relationship with him whenever possible. Lori uses Bobby for bragging rights since he goes above and beyond for her. Why else do you think Lori talks about Bobby all the time? And whenever he's not smothering Lori with gifts and attention, she uses Bobby for her own benefit, like in Party Down. Which makes me wonder, what has Lori ever done for him? Bobby has stood out in the rain to wait for Lori, risked getting fired at one of his jobs just to do something romantic for her, and has even given Lori countless gifts just to make her happy. Meanwhile, all Lori has ever done is just call him by his pet name.
Happy 6-week anniversary, Bobby Boo Boo Bear.
I know most of this happens because Bobby decided to do these things for Lori by choice, but I also believe that Lori knows this and just goes along with Bobby acting like a hopeless romantic towards her because she's getting attention, which is what makes Lori and Bobby polar opposites. Lori is selfish and childish, someone who always has to make everything going on focused on herself, and is hardly generous towards others. Bobby is a romantic at heart who is afraid of letting Lori go, since he believes that it will be his fault, so he does everything possible to make Lori happy just so she will stay with him. This becomes even more evident in later episodes like City Slickers, where Lori doesn't have to learn to be a city girl because she has Bobby, and as long as she has him around, Lori will be just fine since he's always there for her. All this proves is that Lori needs Bobby around, or else she'll struggle and fall apart, as she realizes that he will do anything to make her happy, and all she has to do for him is just stick by his side. I get the feeling that this was here so that Lori and Bobby's relationship wouldn't be so one-sided, but if anything, this just proves that Lori is someone who will never truly learn to be independent for herself, because she has Bobby who will take care of her. I also feel like this sends a mixed message to audiences, especially women, saying that if you're struggling to make it on your own and be independent, all you need is a man by your side who will take care of you and make you feel good about yourself. When in reality, the only person who can help you feel good about yourself is, well, yourself. Relying on others to make you feel happy shows just how much you don't care about who you are. Lori does love herself quite a bit, but I also believe that she doesn't think that she can do things on her own and must have others around to do all the hard stuff for her. Which leads into my second reason why Lori and Bobby should break up. Reason number 2. Lori and Bobby's relationship is actually quite toxic. Don't let the pet names and gifts make you believe that this relationship is all cute and innocent. These two actually have a bit of a sour relationship when you look at certain episodes featuring them together. Lori is usually the one who bosses Bobby around to do things for her, whether she's asking for a gift from him or to take her to a movie that would fit her interests. In Affair to Remember, Lori rejects tickets to go see monster trucks because it's not a romantic comedy. You know, because it's Lori and she's a girl and that's what girls like. Bobby is usually the one who provides Lori with everything to make her happy, treating her like she's the most special girl in the world, even though Lori doesn't really do the same for him. Even though Bobby is a very caring and thoughtful person, he doesn't quite seem to understand just how manipulative and selfish Lori is, as she pretty much has Bobby in the palm of her hands. But Bobby still remains by Lori's side, even when she's at her lowest point like in City Slicker. Bobby will help her back up and make Lori feel better. While I do think this is sweet, I find it hard to believe that Bobby actually thinks that Lori is struggling, when the most she's had to deal with that's hard is spend the day in the city and get a taste of reality. So when Bobby makes Lori feel better, it makes her believe that she doesn't have to struggle or do anything difficult in real life, all because she has Bobby who can take care of her, which, like I said, is the wrong message you want to send to viewers. This reminds me a lot of Rachel Green from Friends, specifically the first season where Rachel believes that all she needs to do is get married to someone with a successful career and she'll be happy. When in reality, all that makes you is a bored housewife who spends every day drinking wine and lounging around the house, as you don't have to struggle with any real life complications. That also means you're not actually doing anything with your life. Thankfully, Rachel realizes this and ditches her own wedding so that she can make something of her life. And by the end of the series, Rachel has a successful career in fashion and is raising a child. Lori doesn't seem to have that mindset. As from what I could gather, she wants to marry Bobby once he has a successful career so that she won't have to work the rest of her life and can just stay home and do whatever she wants. I would like to see Lori change her goals so that she can actually make something of her life, but for right now it's uncertain since she and Bobby are still together. So I wouldn't be surprised if any episodes we get later from Lori involve her dealing with non-issues, like someone taking better selfies than her. Oh wait, that actually did happen. However, there's also a part of me that actually does think that Bobby believes Lori does struggle in life, mostly because he's a bit of a dim-witted character. Lori knows that Bobby isn't the smartest tool in the shed, so she uses that to her advantage. Once again, it shows just how manipulative Lori is to her own boyfriend, where she can use him for whatever she wants, and it just seems like the only time where Lori realizes just how much of a jerk she's being is in selfie improvement. So if Lori and Bobby stay together, I can just see their relationship getting worse as they get older, especially if something goes wrong, like an unexpected pregnancy. Yeah, I know, this is a kid's show, so they wouldn't go in that direction, but I'm just trying to bring up examples to prove my point. Lori is a manipulative and selfish person who uses Bobby for her every whim, while Bobby is a dim-witted but caring person who does everything to satisfy Lori's every desire. To me, this just sounds like a toxic relationship, similar to Beth and Jerry from Rick and Morty, even though their relationship is far more complicated, as Beth is the one with the more successful career while Jerry is the hapless loser who leeches off of his wife to satisfy his every desire. So in a way, both these relationships are very similar except for the genders being switched and all debate or argument, which just makes me think that Beth and Jerry are essentially Lori and Bobby in 20 years. Having these two break up would only make them better characters, as Lori can learn to be more independent and not rely so much on the others, and Bobby can learn to be more assertive and have more self-control over what he does. So far, these two might actually break up soon, given how they have to deal with a long-distance relationship, and I can tell you from experience that long-distance relationships between couples never work out. And on that subject, reason number 3. Lori and Bobby don't have any interesting stories to tell. There's a reason why we don't get a lot of episodes focused on these two. Now, part of that is because of the large cast, but it's also because these two don't bring anything engaging when it comes to their stories. Now, I'm not saying that teenage melodrama automatically makes the storytelling bad. I'm someone who enjoys watching 13 Reasons Why and Riverdale when it comes to teenage melodrama, but my issue comes with the stories involving Lori and Bobby. In Save the Date, the two of them break up over something Lincoln said to Ronnie Ann, and the entire episode shows them wanting to be together again. And I cannot tell you how grating these scenes are in this episode. I don't care if this is supposedly all just a joke, it's a joke that isn't funny, and it fails to make me actually care about them. So it makes me wonder, why should I even like them? And if I remember, we do get a more interesting story, but it has less to do with Lori and Bobby as a couple, and more on Lori getting a taste of her own medicine, as Lincoln hogs Bobby from her just like how Lori hogs Bobby from everyone else. As for Cheer by the Dozen, it only barely qualifies as a Lori and Bobby episode given how they're hardly shown in the segment, and the story surrounding them is so bland and inessential with no real stakes or drama going on between them. So I would say that the reason why Lori and Bobby don't have any good stories together is because they hardly get any episodes about them, but I get the feeling the writers know that Lori and Bobby are a boring couple and just want to write their relationship as some kind of joke, except as a joke that only the writers will understand. The only episode I can see giving us an engaging story between Lori and Bobby is Missed Connection, which is an upcoming segment that actually addresses their long-distance relationship and how they're struggling to keep it going. I can see this story working, mostly because it hints that the two will most likely break up. Then again, this is the Loud House, and if there's one thing they don't do often, it's change the status quo. So I wouldn't be surprised if they end up working things out and stay together, even though I doubt that'll happen. But still, we could get an engaging story between these two that could end up being the first, and most likely only, good episode between Lori and Bobby. Still, we're gonna have to wait for the episode to come out and see what happens. But my point still stands that whenever we get a segment where Lori and Bobby are featured as main characters, they don't bring anything engaging with their relationship to an episode. And with the lack of Lori and Bobby episodes we've been getting, I predict that the writers will either keep them together to use as a joke, or break them up so that both Lori and Bobby can be more fleshed out as characters, which would make sense given the upcoming Casa Grande spin-off that was announced last year. As it is, I just don't get anything out of the episodes focused on Lori and Bobby. And if I don't care about them as a couple, then why should they get episodes focused on them? So now I know why I think Lori and Bobby should break up in the Loud House. They're too different from each other, their relationship is quite toxic, and the two of them don't provide the show with any engaging stories. All I want is for both Lori and Bobby to develop and become better characters, but what's holding them back is their relationship, and keeping them together is going to prevent Lori from growing up and prevent Bobby from doing what he wants for his life. I don't know how long these two will stay together, but with the episode Misconnection coming out soon, I can already predict the downfall these two will have is going to happen. Mark my words. Thanks a lot for watching. Keep in mind this is just my opinion, and I'm not going out of my way to offend anybody. If you have a different opinion from mine when it comes to Lori and Bobby's relationship and you want them to stay together, let me know in the comments below. I'm always curious to hear feedback from you guys. Make sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe to my channel, and until next time, I'm the critic named Cynic who keeps things cynical.